excited to be before you today to announce my key leadership team. And the folks who will be coming out, these are actually going to be my deputy mayors for different issues that I'll be dealing with at City Hall. And the reason why I'm bringing back the deputy mayor system is because this is really just a good way to keep me organized, and so that everyone understands exactly who they should be going to on these different issues, and who is directly reporting to me on many of these different issues. And so let's go ahead and get started. I want a little bit of suspense here, okay? So I'm going to bring them out one by one. The first person that I bring out, he will be acting as my chief of staff and also a deputy mayor, and that is Kevin Ferguson. Kevin, why don't you come on out? Kevin is probably a familiar face to many of you all because he serves as vice president for New Orleans and Company. He's been part of many civic leadership efforts, and he, of course, has been one of the top tourism leaders here in our city, but also working on many key initiatives like homeless initiatives here in our city, and doing all possible to reduce homelessness, and also different public safety initiatives as well. Prior to being part of New Orleans and Company, Kevin was with the Saints Pelicans organization, so he has a lot of different community and business relationships as well. Serving as my chief of staff, Kevin will be responsible for different policies that I put in place, my communication strategies. So overall, this is the guy that'll be ensuring that we're constantly having that right communication with the media, but also, of course, with the public as well. And also leading on my intergovernmental relationships, meaning leading in my conversations with state legislators, making sure that we have a good policy platform coming out of the state legislature, and of course also working with our New Orleans City Council as well. Now the next person I want to bring up is someone also familiar to y'all, and that's Renee Lapper-Ullery. Renee will be serving as Deputy Mayor for External Affairs. As you all know, Renee, of course, chaired my successful campaign for Mayor of New Orleans, and she also has been the director for New Direction New Orleans, which is our transition team. But prior to that, she was Chief of Staff for the Sewage and Water Board. Prior to that, she worked for the State Department of Transportation and Development on critical infrastructure projects and multimodal different types of policies as well. She's also been in the private sector as well, working for a variety of different consulting firms. She will be the Deputy Mayor of External Affairs, as I mentioned, which means that she will be the one working with different community organizations and neighborhood leaders, making sure that I keep my ear to the ground as to what's really happening in our city and what the people of New Orleans really want from their mayor. So that is a key and critical role. And thank you, Renee, for continuing to be on this journey with me from campaign to transition and now at City Hall. Thank you, Renee. Our next person is also someone who you all are familiar with, and this is Dr. Jennifer Avegno. She will be serving as Deputy Mayor of Health and Human Services. I don't need to explain to members of the media the level of work that Dr. Avegno has done for our New Orleans Health Department and how much she has really grown our New Orleans Health Department by really bringing in and leveraging federal dollars. The difference that Dr. Avegno has made is truly transformative for the city of New Orleans, and I can honestly tell you that I don't know if there's many other people who I've worked with who are so dedicated to the people of New Orleans as Dr. Avegno has been over the past 8 years that I've been able to work with her. As I make her Deputy Mayor, she also becomes the city's Chief Medical Officer. She will also now have new duties where EMS will now roll under the Health Department, and she will also be taking on the duties of the Office of Homeless Services and also the Office of Youth and Families. So a lot more on her plate, and I very much appreciate your constant leadership, and I really look forward to your new role ahead and all that you'll be able to do. The next person I want to bring out is our new city attorney, and this is Charlene Gibson. Charlene, come on up. Charlene is someone well-known to the city of New Orleans. She currently serves of counsel at Baker Donaldson, but she's worked at other law firms, not only here in New Orleans, but also in New York City. Charlene actually was someone who has a similar story to mine because she came to the city of New Orleans prior to Hurricane Katrina. And she was here working and moving forward in her career, and then here came Hurricane Katrina, where, of course, she was pulled in all different directions, provided all different types of opportunities to succeed in other parts of the country. But Charlene said, no, I need to be right here in the city of New Orleans, and that is where she's remained. And I appreciate that level of commitment to the city, because that is a level of commitment that I've always had for the city of New Orleans. I had that similar story. I see some of my friends from WDSU who've known me for quite some time. Drew has known me for even before Katrina. And same thing, Katrina happened, pulled in different directions, pulled to go work at other stations and things like that, but I knew I had to come back to the city of New Orleans and help the city rebuild. So Charlene, thank you for joining my team. And the next person I'd like to introduce, also someone who is well known to the people of the city, Chief Michael Harrison. Chief Michael Harrison will serve as Deputy Mayor of Public Safety. Obviously, he's someone that the people of New Orleans know very well. He served as Chief of Police here in the city of New Orleans. After that, he went on to be Police Commissioner for the city of Baltimore. And then after that, he went into a very rewarding consulting career where he consulted for different cities, particularly around consent decrees, and was also a consultant for our district attorney here in the city of New Orleans. His expertise is one that cities across the country want, and so I am incredibly grateful to have him part of my administration advising me on public safety issues. The role that he is taking is really a large one. He is Deputy Mayor of Public Safety. Obviously, he reports directly to me, but he will also be taking on the duties of Director of Homeland Security and Public Safety, and also the Office of Criminal Justice Coordination. So taking on a much bigger and greater role, and this is so necessary, and only really someone with his level of expertise could do a job this big. So thank you, Chief, for joining my team. All right, and the last one I'm going to introduce, some of y'all let the cat out of the bag on this. All right, my new Chief Administrative Officer, Joe Giarrusso, Councilmember Giarrusso. Councilmember Giarrusso, I know that people of the city know him well. Obviously, the media knows him well also. He has been on the city council with me for the past 8 years and just been a tremendous partner. He is one of the hardest working people at City Hall. They're early, they're late. Obviously, you all saw what we had to accomplish during this budget process, and he really got the job done. He actually got a job thinking he'd be done with, City Hall, and went to a big-time law firm here in the city of New Orleans, making a ton of money. But I said, Joe, I really actually need you. And really, I think what sold him, it wasn't that I needed him, it's that the people of New Orleans really needed him. And so I appreciate Joe coming in as CAO. As CAO, he really will be operating as a COO, making sure that operations of the city run well. So he has the most substantive city departments as far as city services go under his realm. And so, Joe, you've got a big job ahead. I know you're going to build an amazing team, and I'm so proud to have you continuing to work at City Hall. And I know there's a lot of excitement that you're not leaving anymore. So with that, this is my leadership team. I'm going to give everyone up here the opportunity to make some comments and explain to them why they want to work on behalf of the people and make our city a better place. And I'll start with my Chief of Staff, Kevin Ferguson.
Well, good afternoon. Let me start by saying I'm honored to step into the role of Deputy Mayor and Chief of Staff. I want to thank the Mayor, there she is. I want to thank the Mayor-Elect for placing her trust in me and allowing me to continue to fulfill a commitment I made to myself when I moved back here in 2008, and that was to make New Orleans a better place. The main focus of this role is to ensure the Mayor's vision and agenda are effectively delivered to the people of New Orleans, collaborating across city departments and external stakeholders, and ensuring performance and accountability. To do that, we need city government to be a high functioning organization. Every great organization I've been a part of has strong leadership at the top, which when you look behind me, you know that we have that in place, but there's also a culture and values that are embedded in those organizations. The foundational value for this administration will be professionalism. We are going to build a disciplined and professional city government. Professionalism starts in the mayor's office. It starts with how we communicate, make decisions, and most importantly, deliver results. That extends to how we listen, collaborate, and engage with the public. We will operate with clear expectations, measurable goals, and urgency. And I want to highlight that last word, urgency. Every matter that comes before the mayor's office is urgent to someone. Every time someone steps into City Hall, the matters that they're there to address are important and often urgent for them. And our city deserves leadership that is responsive to that and operates effectively. I'm here to ensure that every decision and initiative that moves through the organization is with purpose and precision. When we host major events or have emergencies, this city comes together and collaborates and operates at a level that is incredible. That level of coordination will now become the standard and not the exception. We will break down internal silos and work across departments to speed up delivery of services to our residents and our businesses. I'm also here to serve as a bridge between City Hall and community, business, and civic leaders. The ultimate goal for this work is for our residents to see and feel the impact in their daily lives, not just with paperwork and improved processes. I'm incredibly confident that we have the right team in place and the right plan to deliver on this, and I'm excited for the work that starts today. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor-Elect Moreno, and I'm proud to continue to serve during this critical moment. The Deputy Mayor of External Affairs serves as the city's chief representative to residents and neighborhoods, civic institutions, business and nonprofit partners, and regional stakeholders. This role leads the city's efforts to build trust, strengthen the public engagement, elevate resident voices, and ensure transparent communication between the mayor's office and the community. The deputy mayor coordinates strategic outreach, oversees constituent-facing operations, and guides citywide messaging and relationship management to advance the mayor's priorities. This office provides residents, community partners, and civic institutions with clear, responsive, and accessible engagement from City Hall, ensuring that every neighborhood has a voice and every resident can easily connect with and influence the work of their local government. City Hall must be accessible, responsive, and trusted. The mayor's office will not operate behind closed doors. We will bring government closer to the people. Engagement will be proactive, not reactive, and there will be special focus on neighborhoods and communities historically left out of policy conversations. External Affairs will set the tone. City Hall works for people first. I'm proud to serve alongside this team to rebuild trust through transparency, engagement, and action. Thank you. Thank you.
Thanks, Renee. Good afternoon, everybody. Like everyone else, I am beyond thrilled to be asked to continue on in this new administration with the mayor-elect as her principal advisor on health, youth and family well-being, community vitality, as part of the holistic vision that she's always espoused for public safety and opportunity as public health, and to highlight and advance the efforts of the really dedicated public health and social services professionals who are shaping this work at the city. Our existing energetic and dedicated team has laid a really strong foundation of programs, initiatives, and policy advances that support the health and well-being of all New Orleanians, from their earliest days in infancy to our seniors. And we are really excited to build on the diverse community partnerships that will translate into improved health outcomes for all. We know that clinical care is important, and a lot of times when you think of health, you think of going to the doctor or the clinic. We're so fortunate to have so many outstanding healthcare workers and institutions in our city that are such a vital part of our community. But what determines the health of New Orleanians are social and economic drivers of health, things like sufficient income, affordable and quality housing,
minimal exposure to violence, strong educational opportunities and supportive work environments, and equitable, I'll repeat that, equitable access to all of it. And this starts with our young people. Ensuring optimal conditions for their growth and development makes our community healthy and prosperous for generations. When young families have what they need to thrive, we all benefit. So while I'm grateful for the focus on youth and families at the city, I'm very excited and committed to securing and expanding these efforts in the future. We know that healthy communities have strong and interconnected service system that creates safety nets for our most vulnerable, but offer universal access to programs and opportunities for everyone. And this is true of long-term prevention, which we spend a lot of time focusing on, but also our emergency care. And I'm excited that we'll have strengthened alignment with EMS in line with what's in our city charter. And in doing so, we plan to identify efficiencies in operations and expand capacity of that department while continue to provide highly professional acute medical services and nationally recognized EMS programs and practices 24/7. Public health is directly linked to public safety, and so by strengthening and expanding our existing and successful violence prevention ecosystem, we can work alongside our traditional justice partners to reduce the need for law enforcement interventions and reduce violence to a level where all neighborhoods and all individuals feel it and it can be sustained. And I'm really excited to be working with Chief Harrison again to develop this comprehensive approach to violence reduction. So our Health and Human Services expanded team will use deep community input and partnerships combined with quantitative metrics to develop and implement and refine data-driven solutions to complex social problems. We're really excited about the opportunity to show our work and have metrics for the whole community to get behind. We're going to continuously evaluate how well we serve the public and be flexible in finding better ways to support health with the urgency that is really important to us as well. We're going to build on our existing relationships with healthcare entities, nonprofits, the business community, state and federal agencies, and philanthropy, and most importantly, every resident who wants to come and get involved. We are not afraid to tackle the most intractable health problems in our community or the needs of our most vulnerable populations, and we know it can't be done alone. I am a proud New Orleans native, and I love this city deeply. And I know that of all her shining qualities, it is the people and their potential that are her true greatness. So supporting our family, neighbors, and friends with the services they deserve to have to a full access to a healthy life is our commitment. Thank you for the opportunity.
I would also like to thank Mayor-Elect Moreno and the City Attorney Search Committee for the humbling opportunity to serve the people of New Orleans and not only to represent the legal and financial interests of the city, but also to safeguard our resources. It's a profound responsibility to lead the professionals and dedicated staff in the city's law department, who I respect so deeply for the complex work that they do and the grit and resilience with which they show up day after day after day. Not for public recognition, but because they're called to serve our community and the promise of the city that we all care so much about. As the chief legal advisor to the mayor, the city council, and all city departments, I will seek to collaborate with my colleagues to ensure legal compliance with the city charter and state and federal laws. We will streamline the contracting process to expedite outcomes, manage the city's litigation docket, and lead with a culture of creative problem solving, good stewardship, and above all, excellence. The law department's priorities will be implementing smart workflows, employing better use of technology, facilitating coordination among the departments, always in the interest of continuous improvement. My charge is to build a modern law department that is not only a great place to do interesting work, but that functions to enable responsible action for the best interests of the people of New Orleans, and delivers as a partner to progress rather than an impediment. Culture change is never easy, but I'm proud to support an administration rooted in accountability, efficiency, and transparency, which are principles that have been core to my professional standard. The Law Department will move with a sober sense of purpose, cohesion, and confidence to address the existing backlog of matters with urgency and hit the ground running on day one. Thank you.
Good afternoon, everyone, and thank you all for being here. I'm extremely grateful, first of all, to Almighty God for blessing me with this wonderful opportunity to serve and to lead in our city. I want to say a special thank you to our mayor-elect and express my deepest gratitude and humility for her having the confidence in me to serve and to lead at such a pivotal moment in our city. In late 2023, when my wife and I made the decision to return to New Orleans, I fully believed then that the rest of my career would be in consulting. I now know that my return to New Orleans was for a higher calling, which I not only accept, but I embrace. As the Deputy Mayor of Public Safety, I'm charged with ensuring the people of New Orleans receive safe, secure, and resilient communities through coordinated leadership of the city's public safety, homeland security, and emergency preparedness agencies. This position is also charged with developing cross-departmental strategies to protect lives, reduce violent crime, strengthen community trust, respond to and be prepared for emergencies and disasters, both natural and man-made. Like in other cities where I had the opportunity to learn valuable lessons and share lessons learned, New Orleans needs seamless integration across police operations, fire service operations, homeland security, emergency preparedness, and responses. That seamless integration is achieved through constant and effective communication, collaboration, and coordination. I am thrilled to know that our mayor-elect views violence reduction holistically and comprehensively, and does not put the burden of public safety and violence reduction squarely on the shoulders of police, but rather understands that sustainable reduction is achieved when enforcement is partnered with prevention, intervention, rehabilitation, and reentry. It's not just about stopping criminals. It's also about preventing people from becoming criminals. The office is also charged with ensuring that public safety agencies and stakeholders are not just appropriately resourced, but all efforts and initiatives are aligned, synchronized, and coordinated. I look forward to working with our health department, youth services, and workforce development to provide opportunities for our residents, namely our young people, to have a better life, and remove the reasons why persons are pushed or pulled toward crime in the very first place. We understand the severity and the urgency of this moment, and we are committed to meeting that urgency every day to deliver the public safety you pay for, you deserve, and you expect. Lastly, we are committed to delivering the highest level and the most professional, coordinated public safety coupled with accountability and transparency, because accountability without transparency is not accountability at all. So thank you so much for this wonderful opportunity and allowing me to serve on this great team. Thank you.
Well, I too want to thank Mayor-elect Moreno. It's been a pleasure working with you for the last 8 years, and you're stuck with me for a little while longer. Look, when I talked to the mayor-elect about what we wanted to do, what was so important to her administration, it was about focusing on a couple of basics: financial stewardship, efficiency, operational excellence. And if you're not on board with that, this will not be the right administration for you. I have to say, as a district council member, I get tired and frustrated when I email departments because residents have been seeking them out, and there has been a lack of coordination between those departments. That has to end. We have to give better timelines to people on when things are going to happen. As the mayor-elect said, this job will involve a lot of operational work. We've shown together how we can use a budget as a tool for change. Remember, Sewage and Water Board had old, dilapidated turbines, one of which that dates back to World War I. As a result of the money that we got from the capital budget and from operating money, there will be a new Sewage and Water Board substation that is newer, cleaner, and more reliable, and it will be the most important piece of infrastructure that the city's had in a long period of time. Now, how do you accomplish this? There's two ways. One is, and the chief and I have already started doing this, there will be monthly check-ins. You are going to have to talk about where you are in your process, in your budget, with your overtime, and what your deliverables are. It also means we are going to be calendar-driven. If there is a time, we are going to follow up on that time, and we are going to do our absolute best to make sure that happens. If Sewage and Water Board can give deadlines to people that they hew to, then we ought to be able to do the same thing. My ethos in this still comes from being a neighborhood president, and that is the type of quality that I expect, because it is important to every resident to know that services will work well for them no matter where you are in this city. The last piece that's going to obviously be very important to us is accountability and transparency in this. With that, here's a caveat for District A. For the next 41 days, you will not be getting special treatment, and you will be treated the same as everybody else. But it is important for everyone to understand that the decisions that are being made will be publicly, with your input, and making sure that you can see what is happening, because people want to know how their government is working for them. Thank you, Mayor-elect.
You all may have heard during the campaign, as I talked about who I would bring on board to help me, and I was told the people of the city that I would surround myself with the very best and brightest. And these are my top advisors, and I can tell you that they are the very best and the brightest. But I also want to say this, is that every single one of them works at my pace, and that's with urgency. I don't know how to work another pace. I see Andrew, who's been on my team for God knows how long, and I think he knows how I work, and it is constantly, and it's with urgency. Renee knows how I work, and it's constantly with urgency. Joe knows that, and Jen knows that, and the others certainly see that in me, and I see that in them. And the other piece, too, about each one of the people who you see next to me is that they'll do whatever possible to get the job done. In fact, when I sat down with Kevin as I was talking to him to see if you know, he was the right guy for me, he said something where I said, absolutely, this is the right guy. We were chatting about how neither one of us has any like really advanced degrees. You know, we're not an attorney. Got a couple attorneys back here. You know, didn't go to graduate school, but we both have grit, and we both stop at nothing to get the job done. And when you told me that, I was like, oh, this is my guy. This is my guy. This is my chief of staff. This is my right-hand guy. And so I'm just very grateful for all these individuals who are stepping up for the role of serving the people of this city. They could be doing a lot of other things. Obviously, each one of them is successful in their own right. But they see what the city can be. And they want to be part of that transformation, because they know that it is possible. And all of us together, we will get the job done, and we'll do it with urgency. So with that, I'm happy to take any questions. I know that there's some off-topic questions. CNN, I'm going to take you on your own if that's okay, because I know you have a very specific story. But everybody else, if you can stay on topic, then I'll take off topic, okay? Blake?
You mentioned last week sort of changing up the medical director position.
Yes.
Putting some of it under the EMS director, but then also giving some responsibility to Dr. Moreno. Can you kind of clarify
Sure.
that?
So I've moved all of EMS under Dr. Avegno, under Health and Human Services. Bill Salmeron will be the director of EMS, and then beneath that, right, Jen, is where we have a medical director position. So the way that it is now, it's medical director, and then after that, you have Salmeron as the EMS director, and we're just switching that role. We're putting medical director at a more bottom tier position. And that'll create savings of about $150,000 right there. You know I'm about savings these days. Yeah, go ahead.
Related to public safety specifically, a lot will be in the aftermath of the terror attack.
I'm so glad that you asked that because that is one of the main reasons why I brought in this expert. We've had conversations before. I've had public conversations with the media about how there was that lack of coordination with the city as to what the city's real responsibility was on deploying different assets. And now the current Homeland Security Department has pretty much said we're not going to be in charge of deploying those assets, and now that's solely on NOPD. What I've charged Chief Harrison with is to work with Chief Kirkpatrick to find the model that works. I can tell you that Chief Harrison was part of a model that worked when Mitch Landrieu was mayor, and that was that the head of Homeland Security and Public Safety would work closely with the Chief of Police to ensure that the city assets were deployed correctly. For example, let's say that you needed a dump truck or a sand truck at the foot of Bourbon. Then it would be up to the head of Public Safety and Homeland Security to ensure that the DPW worker drove the truck there, was there present with the truck, and that asset was deployed. That's not the way that things are anymore. So I'll charge this chief to work with Chief Kirkpatrick on making sure that we create the right model so that we do have this coordinated approach for all of the major events that we have here in our city, and really just for securing the French Quarter as well, and the level of coordination that's overall needed there, due to the fact that you have so many different entities who are charged with law enforcement duties, whether you have state police and NOPD, but then you also have the additional patrols through FQMD. Who's supposed to be doing what, and is everybody in the right place? And so that'll be part of his role. Anything else? Hey, Alyssa.
Hello, if I can, I would like to ask Joe about the budget situation right now. We've worked very closely, especially recently, in the budget crisis that we've been experiencing with our current CAO. How is that informing, your experience in the budget as a budget chair? How's that experience informing how you will handle the CAO's office? And what does that really look like as you kind of finish out the term now?
Yeah, I mean, I think the perspective that the mayor-elect is looking for is somebody who's been an insider and knows what is going on. So two things. One is, I've already started talking to the new council members about, let's set aside a day, and I think it's probably going to be Tuesday afternoons where we meet. And I'll start at one end of the hall or the other end of the hall and bounce back and forth like office hours. And let's talk about where we are on budget issues, and then also the biggest issues that are plaguing. Now, don't come to me with a $10 million problem, because we're probably not going to solve that. But if you have that stop sign that isn't being fixed, we want to make sure that you know about that. And then as we're having these monthly meetings, one of the things that we did originally that I think we need to go back to is briefings with council members before their budget committee meetings. If I ever hear a council member saying, I didn't know about this, then I failed somewhere, and I don't like to fail. So we are going to make sure that the council members, because they are the appropriating body, know what's going on, are read into it, and are active partners and understand what's happening, and that happens because of urgency and communication.
And Joe,
Yep.
when you talk about transparency and urgency that we're hearing right now, how important is it to have those meetings, to have that transparency, considering the city is facing a whole $160 million deficit, and so many people are looking to you all now, CAO, to fix it?
Well, it's incredibly important because one of the things we have to do is rebuild trust. And I think you've heard everybody up here, the mayor-elect, say that trust is what needs to be rebuilt, and morale too. It is important. There is hope in the city right now. But the only way that you keep that is by being diligent and urgent in execution. And again, I think it comes about with, hey, there are going to be these monthly meetings. There are going to be more information that's posted publicly. There are going to be more discussions about what's happening. We're not going to have departments that run over their overtime by such a big deal and have it be behind a black box. The important thing that we do with transparency is making sure that we put the information out there as much as we can, and then certainly when we're at budget committee meetings, which is really the biggest forum to do it, that council members are well informed, but as a proxy, the public is well informed. All right, the mayor-elect is giving up the press conference, so, okay.
This is all fine.
Yeah.
So, Joe, of course, you've been with city government for 8 years, but some on the outside might say, well, the council was part of this budget crisis. What makes you the most qualified to be able to lead the CAO position?
Well, I think, look, to people who are naysaying, and look, Chris, I've heard it, obviously, and we see it. Give me time to win your heart and mind. That's what I ask for, right? When you run for election, you're saying to somebody, take a chance on me. And I hope the fact that now that we're moving from not having all of the information, from having to learn, from having to scrounge around and get pieces, to having to constantly dig to find that information is a change. And then, the other thing I would just say is one of the things I think people want right now is cooperation and compatibility. And particularly when I've met with the new council members, they have stressed to me that they campaigned on collaboration and people working together. I know at times that I can be tough in my questioning, but it's not from a place of anger, it's from a place of high expectation for what the residents need. And so my hope is in watching what happens, and candidly also, Chris, in watching how this budget process has unfolded. The mayor-elect was responsible for getting the revenue anticipatory note. The mayor-elect was responsible for making sure we didn't have a financial administration. The mayor-elect and the council was responsible for adding $75 million more to the budget. I mean, that's just 45 days. So my hope is we can continue that urgency, and really, we're in a job, frankly, where you have to prove yourself every single day, and I think we're equal to that task. There you go.
About your working relationship with the governor, especially now with the budget, we've kind of seen that come to fruition. So can you talk about that, how you're going to take it into this new position? And if you can you talk about announcement that the National Guard will be coming?
I will answer your question. Let me add on to Chris's question real quick. We had a lot of people apply to be CAO. I'm grateful for the number of applicants who applied to be CAO. If you all are looking for the number, Todd can give you the number of people who applied to be CAO. I don't have it offhand. But I can tell you this about Joe. The big difference with Joe Giarrusso and the other candidates is his attitude and his overall look of how he sees things is, we are going to fix it, and we're going to solve the problem. And I never, if I go to Joe and I'm like, we need to do this, he doesn't say to me, well, that's going to be hard, or, yeah, I'm not sure if we can get that done. It's, let's find that path. And so Joe and I work so well together that that's how we operate. That's how our brains think. That's how everybody back here, that's how we operate. That it's like, we need to get to this spot, and how are we going to get there? And anyone who's telling us that, no, it can't be done, well, then move out of our way, because we're going to figure out a path to get it done. And that's how Joe and I have always operated, and that's the type of CAO who I want. So while others who may have applied had more experience than him, there is no one that has the level of grit, that has the level of urgency, and that has the level of, we're just going to get the job done attitude than Joe Giarrusso. And so that's why I knew that he was my right selection. All right. Now, the question was about my relationship with the governor and navigating through some of the things that are going on. I've known Jeff Landry for a really long time. I served in the legislature beginning in 2010. He was elected to be Attorney General soon after, so obviously I've had a long time working relationship with him. Obviously, politically, we couldn't be further apart. We really could not be further apart. But that doesn't mean that I won't call upon him to help the city of New Orleans. In fact, I was calling some of the governor's reps today, dealing with the issue of getting some of our JIRR dollars that the city spent general fund dollars on, and getting that reimbursement and getting their assistance on that. Just like I've called members of Congress who I may not be politically aligned, but I need their assistance. So I've had these long time working relationships with people across party lines, and I'll continue working with them for the benefit of New Orleans. Now, there may be times when we don't necessarily agree. You're asking about the deployment of National Guard. I'm looking for more information on that. One, is it Louisiana National Guard, or is it, a federal deployment coming in with National Guard troops from other states? It appears that it's going to be Louisiana National Guard. What I have expressed to the governor's office is that, one, first, it's important to recognize that we have had significant decreases in violent crime. So let's start there. Number two, if we're really working on the same goal of going after the very most violent offenders in the city of New Orleans, the National Guard does not help us toward that. I also explained on what the city of New Orleans does need to fight crime. Everything from some of the initiatives that Dr. Avegno is working on the prevention side, to, if we want to talk on the law enforcement and prosecution side, what I really would need is additional probation and parole officers here in the city of New Orleans, and I also need more federal prosecutors. So if we can have some more assistance on that, that would really be helpful to dealing with the most violent offenders here in New Orleans. So I'll continue to have that dialogue and conversation with the governor, and my, of course, head and my heart is always on what is best for the people of the city. Go ahead, Joe.
Now that you have key players in their roles in your administration, looking ahead, what is the goal for day one, and even further, what are you hoping to accomplish in the first 100 days of your administration?
Starting on day one, immediately the people of this city will sense just a whole new direction of where the city's going. And that's really a direction where we are working at a faster pace, working to get things done, whether we are enhancing city services or whether we're working with urgency on the budget. Obviously, just on day one, within the first 24 hours, I'll sign a series of executive orders. I'll also be dealing with some legal matters like reversing the mayor's position on Wisner. So all of that will happen immediately. That's just how I operate. That's how I work. There's no time to waste. I got started right after I got elected and not even in office. So here we go. Let's get it done. Anybody else? Go ahead, Blake.
Yeah, I was interested, obviously, Mayor Cantrell went out of state for her CAO pick initially. A lot of your leadership team has deep roots in New Orleans. Curious how that's sort of weighed in your selection of the team.
Look, we've got top talent here, and I think what you're seeing too from my team is that, you know, obviously Charlene, she's worked elsewhere. She's been in New York and she's here in New Orleans. Obviously Chief has worked in many other cities and was also chief in Baltimore. So we have folks that have obviously a combination of experience just here in New Orleans and outside New Orleans, but now they're back. But that top leadership, while I was getting applicants for different positions from all across the country, that top leadership I found right here.
Mayor-elect, in your Tuesday press conference, or your press conference about the budget, I should say, you addressed various ways you're going to attempt to raise revenue, one of which being collections, particularly parking. What is your vision for increasing collections for parking, and does that involve the Office of Debt Recovery?
Two things. One, under Joe's office, we're going to do a new position, which is really going to be kind of the chief revenue collection office. And so that'll be under Joe's office, and he'll create that particular officer so that we ultimately have one person dedicated to just collections. On the parking piece, though, where we're going with that is that we have in the budget right now to hire an additional 50 parking enforcement personnel. And because we are going to be hiring up in this enforcement personnel, that is how we're going to be able to generate an additional $20+ million a year in parking. But at the same time, to your point, we have to up our collections. And that's why we need a person who is solely dedicated to just working on getting collections in from the city.
What powers might that individual utilize? Would they go to the state, or would a new ordinance have to be crafted to collect?
Well, I don't know the answer to that. Do you have the answer to that?
I think we just reinforce.
Yeah, honestly, like what we're looking to do is just additional enforcement. I mean, even with this amnesty program going on right now, did y'all know it was going on? Okay, y'all are members of the media, you didn't really even know it was going on. So like just really upping our game on what amnesty, you know, programs really look like, getting the word out. Even when it comes to some of these parking tickets, what we've been talking about is even doing kind of a deal here where we're gonna give you half off of your parking ticket if you come and pay it now. So there's all these different ways that we could do that, but it goes with just a larger effort and letting the public know what is happening and getting more revenue in that way. And even if we just do something, just a minimal increase, we believe that we'll be able to generate millions of dollars more just with a minimal increase of just getting the word out there on amnesty programs and just boosting our collection efforts on enforcement.
Final question.
All right, cool. Thank y'all. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
You want off topic? Let's do it.
Thank you. Thank you for being on your team.